Okay, it is 4:35 on Thursday, November 29th, and I call this meeting of the Meridian Historic Preservation Commission to order. Roll call. Blaine Johnston's here. Don Cronk. Here. Josh Everts. Not here. Jody Alt.
Present.
Casey Jones. Courtney McBride.
Here.
Ed Landis. Councilman Ty Palmer.
Here.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
Adoption of the agenda, and as Hillary just noted, the items in red, items revised to be listed as potential action items. Just notice that for
6C, 6D, and 7B were revised as to be listed as potential action items.
So with that, adoption of the agenda.
I, Jody, I'll move that we adopt the agenda.
Second that.
Motion by Commissioner Alt to approve the agenda, seconded by Commissioner McBride. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Approval of September 27th minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Cronk, seconded by Commissioner Alt. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. Approval of the monthly financial statements.
Sorry. Here's your monthly financial statement. I'm zooming in. One thing to call to attention that I have to apologize for was the framing of that large map. I was told that that would be completed in FY, what was it? FY 18?
18.
And it was completed on the 1st, so it got pushed into your guys' current fiscal year. And then I wanted to point out too, on Novus, when you guys click your financial statement item sheet, this link here that says Open Gov, you can click that and you can see up to date, like as of that day or possibly the day before, the current financials. So you'll see this page, and then on the side, if it's not on us for whatever reason, you can click this link here that says Views, and then click HPC Expenses, and that'll take you to this table, but I think it's most helpful to actually go to the transactions, and you can see the current transactions. So, like, this is from my expense report from Pass Forward Conference, so that didn't show up in your monthly report, but it shows up in between, so that way you guys just have a key to see how all of your current expenses. The item, though, is just for your monthly expense report, which is that.
And we are now in FY19, correct?
Correct. Yes.
I'll make a motion to accept the financial statement.
I second that.
Motion by Commissioner Cronk, seconded by Commissioner McBride to approve the monthly financial statements. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Historical Society and History Center update by Lila Hill. Welcome, Lila. It's been a while.
Well, sometimes things come up and you just don't make it, you know.
Some things come up, yep.
So I don't really have a report. We had 8 members at our last meeting. It turned out we all went to the same church. We all came from the same background. We'd known each other for, years. So it was more a home week meeting than it was anything else. We read items from 100 years ago from the newspapers. David and Betsy are taking over one of the days of the week for volunteers, so we now have somebody for every day. We'll talk a little bit more maybe about roundtable discussions that are beginning to be organized between the city, the Historic Society, the library, the school district, and historic preservation as to the long-time care for the collection. I personally am insisting that it not leave the city of Meridian. And so we have to talk about when the city wants our space, which they're going to need before 4 or 5 years, what's going to happen to it. And I'm not going to be here to growl at all of you, probably.
Will too.
So I don't know, I did get another year appointment for my physical though, so. I had lunch today with Doug Rutan, who informs me that he's now retired from driving a school bus and he's just a substitute. So he's going to have a little more time to work on things. And he brought in a collection of grade school pictures of his, of pictures of the little kids in the choir at the Methodist Church for several years when he started out as a little pudgy-cheeked boy. So we're picking up some pictures from later years than what we have had before in our collection. I guess that's about the extent of it. We will be at this annual bazaar here at the City Hall inside our own chambers so that if we run out of stuff or if we want to get tired and leave early, we can go and just shut the door behind us. So I think that's about all I have to say for today, unless you have questions.
I don't have any questions.
What did that? Who? So.
Don't touch it.
Oh, and Gretchen has been in, and there is somebody on the library staff who now has archival experience and some training. So I don't feel like I'm the only voice crying in the wilderness.
Okay.
And with Jody coming on board, that gives us another person too. So that is rounding things out to where we need to have, so it's not, like I say, one voice crying in the wilderness about we can't destroy everything. We really shouldn't destroy much. I don't think the city even knows what we have. It's about this village stuff.
Nobody knows what you have.
Hillary's got a good idea. She took a copy of the last inventory that was done by the library staff, and we'll have copies of that so that people will know kind of, and if they don't, then we'll get busy and get it done.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, with that, we'll go on to item 6, new business. Hall film completed project discussion and approval.
Okay, had all of you guys had a chance to pull up these links and look through this a little bit? Okay, I'll just kind of do a brief overview. I mainly just wanted to make sure that you guys had a chance to see this as a group. If you had any questions or suggestions, to give those to me so I can communicate those to Brandon. Or if you're satisfied with it, I wanted to have your guys' approval on this before I reached out to Drew and Deborah Eggers, so that I could kind of show them what kind of project we're talking about possibly doing out there with them. So I'll kind of scroll around, a bit.
Hillary, do we have a copy of that from our files? Just a runoff copy.
I can try. I don't. Yeah, I can try. Yes, yeah. This gives you can kind of zoom in a little bit on some of these. So this was everything that's from the Historical Society, Lila. We made sure to include at the bottom of each of the captions that this image is part of the Meridian Historical Society's collection. So that way they know that most of these artifacts are really in your guys' in your collection.
In front of the old IO
right, that's where the dot was, yeah. So here, my mouse show up. Here was another dot. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'll keep scrolling around. I think we had 5 points here. And you can minimize or maximize the comments there. And this text I just took from the text that's on that placard. I feel like if you guys took the time to look through this, you kind of have an idea for what's there. And then when you scroll all the way around, you can quickly get to the Pine Street School. I didn't get any, yeah, I haven't heard back from them. And then Pine Street, they did, he did exterior and then interior also. I don't think we only had 1 point for the exterior, and it was when they moved from the corner over to their current site. Are you guys satisfied with kind of the quality and content? And
I think it looks good.
It looks great.
Sorry, I clicked the wrong thing.
And I like how he's put in the pictures there that we can read about it too.
Yeah. And that's something that I thought he was going to do entirely on his own, but we actually had to collect those pictures with Lila. Blaine met me so we could kind of talk about which things to include. So if we do future projects with him, I'd like us to maybe work with him and, like, so say we did it with the Eggers, work with a small group to figure those things out before, because I didn't realize I was going to have to provide pictures for some of these things, and then we had to do that. So I haven't sent this to the Friends of the Pine Street School yet either, but I'd like to send them a copy or this link as well once you guys approve it. And then also, upon your approval, I could get it on the website and we could share it on Facebook and all that good stuff. Right. Right. So anyway, you guys had a chance to see this before when you were reviewing your packets. I just wanted to go through it again. Was there anything that you guys needed to call to attention or any suggested changes?
I can't think of anything. I think it really looks good. I think it's going to be a good addition.
Yeah, I expected it to be after what he showed us, you know, but I wasn't aware that we had to supply all the pictures and things too, so
Right.
that's good to know.
I don't think I need any formal approval. I just wanted to know that generally there's nothing to be changed.
I don't think so.
Okay.
The stove used to sit in our garage. Before that was from the Enterprise School.
Great.
At least at the school.
I don't know if you guys had a chance to see these Dropbox files too, but I tried to share that folder with you too so you could see the stills that he also took, because we could even still share, you know, a picture of the stills of the desks instead of a link to the other thing. And this might be what I could print and give copies to the Historical Society to have. So nice, high quality stills. Anyway, that's all. So you guys are happy with me to share that with the Eggers and see if they're interested? Okay.
Yep. Pine Street School signage. It disappeared on me.
Sorry, yeah, that's me too. While I was at Pine Street School getting some pictures, Carol Stanley had mentioned that they're interested in installing a sign directly off of Pine Street so that people driving on Pine Street could more easily know where they're located. I think now that the Boys and Girls Club gym is right there, it's really big and you can't see it from the corner there. So she had mentioned that she likes the idea of a creative sign, like one shaped kind of like a schoolhouse or something that's along Pine. And when I called the city, or the planners down here, one of the assistant city planners had mentioned to me that ACHD might also be able to, and maybe more easily, install one of those blue signs that they have just along the roadway. Like, there's one for the Boys and Girls Club that,
We have a copy of the one that was done when they got the award in the office in that book. It's sitting on top of one of the counters in the book of stuff, so you might just want to use it.
copy, a sign?
No picture of the building and so forth. So,
Oh, okay. If we need to reference it.
yeah, that's in there in the office.
So I don't know, I guess I told Carol that I would mention this desire to you guys. I know sometimes we have grant opportunities that come up. I haven't haven't had the time to look up to see if we could find a grant that this could fit with, maybe for this fiscal year or possibly next fiscal year, if that would make more sense. But if you guys are interested in spending the time to look into this a little more, to see how we could have maybe a partnership with the Pine Street School or help facilitate that.
I think it's a good idea. Ted, is there any sort of city approval that's needed to put a sign up for that?
Mr. Chair and members of the commission, you're asking about, or talking about two different signs. The ACHD blue sign is just in the right of way. ACHD, if they agree with it, they'll put it up. If you're going to go with something more creative, you're going to probably need to put it out of sight of the right of way, similar to the process that we've used with the Meridian Monument signs we've seen around town. We draft a license agreement with the property owner who agrees to host the sign. So you'd have to identify a host, basically, and then we would just draft that up and attach a mock-up of what it would look like. And then if you've got the money to pay for it, it gets installed, and there you go.
I guess maybe, Hillary, me speaking, let's see what ACHD would do if they would do it, if it costs us anything.
And Mr. Chair, as long as I've got my head on the question, there's nothing to prevent you from doing both. If you get ACHG to put the blue one up, that can happen quickly, efficiently, and then you look at a longer term, finding funding and the host for it. So
Okay.
I wanted to ask you too, so this is what Kevin, the assistant city planner, sent over to show the right-of-way down there. So there's a few signs already, like right here. Oh wait, no, sorry, right here. So Pine Street School is up in this area, and then there's this weird dirt lot. But all of this is right-of-way also. So does that, so I guess, would the agreement be with ACHD if it's in the purple? Or with, I don't know who that agreement would be with. That's why I'm confused.
Mr. Chair and Hillary, if it's in the right-of-way, it has to be with ACHD's permission. We usually, it would, I don't know of a situation where ACHD has allowed anything other than one of their standard roadsides in the right-of-way. So if you're going to go with a more creative sign, it's going to have to be out of the right-of-way on private property. There's a nice patch of green grass there, but who knows, that person probably feels encroached on enough already, getting their voluntary agreement to do that. You can certainly look into it, but so the simplest, easiest, and least expensive is just to have ACHD get that blue sign, and it at least gets people funneled in the right direction.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just, for now, down and dirty, let's see what ACHD has to say.
I will get a cost and probably timeline estimate back to you
Okay,
guys.
perfect. C, Mcfadden Market sign quote.
So the text here kind of details it, but I'll read through some of it. So I had reached out to Yesco Signs, or Yesco, to get an idea of how much it would cost to repair the neon tubing on the Mcfadden Market sign. Not painting it, the only quote I got was for restoring the lights to working order. I contacted Yesco first because they are a local business, but we would need to get 3 quotes. I'm just not aware of other local neon sign restoration businesses, so I can do further research. I just want to get something so you guys know what range we're talking about. Anyway, if HPC is interested in restoring the sign, it would be best if you selected a location for installation before starting any restoration process. And it may be a good idea, well, it would be a good idea to get this approved by both the mayor and council. It could potentially be a good project to find a grant, again, to help cover some of the cost. So as I started just talking to people that we thought about this sign, some locations had come up from different people, mainly city staff. So one of the suggestions was to create some type of art installation, mounting the sign on a pole rather than it's the way that it was traditionally mounted to the building, and putting it on display somewhere, or possibly even encasing it and having some type of narrative or some type of interpretive signage associated with that display. If you're interested in something that leans more towards the art realm, I can talk to the Arts Commission and see if they have any interest in partnering with you guys, or at least consulting an artist or fabricator that could help with some design concept or how it would actually be. I don't know. All I can think of is like putting it on a pole. I can't think more creatively than that. So we could ask someone else that might have creative juices flowing through their veins. Another option would be to temporarily install it at City Hall, whether that's outside, the mayor's office, the gallery, stairwell, and then possibly eventually donate it or gift it to a developer that's interested in that same lot. I don't think that there's been any movement or interest in that lot that I've been made aware of. But the other thing you'd want to make sure of is that if you did want to donate it, that it fits the space of whatever's going to end up being there. Another option would be to integrate it in some kind of courtyard area here in the downtown region where it would be clear that the sign isn't actually designating a market. That's the concern. If you just put it, off of City Hall towards Meridian Road, people might think all of a sudden that this is a market and not City Hall. Just to be clear about where it's being viewed. And then the fourth option that I thought was very interesting was Coal Valley Christian purchased that house and has renovated it into some type of clubhouse there. And I think the Mcfaddens used to own that field and possibly donated that to Coal Valley Christian. Anyway, it's near their athletics field, and I don't know if it could somehow work there. Oh, her parents own it. Okay. Anyway, so those were some just ideas for locations, and you guys are also, if you have your own ideas too, I'd love to hear them. This is just what's come up. But this is a more expensive quote than I expected, so that's why I want us to have a location in mind. So we'll show you the quote. I'll pull up a picture of the sign in case any of you aren't familiar. Part of it, yeah.
I just had a thought, and I don't know if it's feasible or not. And I don't know if we could make it portable so that when the youth have their farmers market, put it out.
It's like a 9-foot sign.
Yeah.
I don't know where it would be stored.
That's it.
Not being.
Yeah.
I think we should entertain the idea of working with the Arts Commission and see what they come up with too. Can't hurt to ask to see what they might want to do.
And I'm aware of some of their, oh, that's the best one I have. I'm
Might
aware
be.
of some of their
Is there,
public art plans, but they don't, I mean, they plan their public art installations like 5 years out. They don't really have, whatever they have that's kind of in reserve is meant for another project down the road. But they might have some resources or connections that they could at least connect you guys to.
and is there any grants that we could apply for to get this done?
So there are grants through the Idaho Heritage Trust project that have funded other neon sign projects, but I think that those have been, from what I could tell, they've all been projects that have restored a sign on its original site. So I think we'd have to have some type of compelling
Reason?
reason. Not that that's impossible, because it's definitely not impossible. Sorry, you're gonna have to watch me click through all this because I can show you more pictures. Another picture of it. Pretty dang big. One where they're putting it in the truck. The other thing is if you're not, if it wouldn't be plugged in or lit up, if you did want to do something portable with it, then it really, you don't have to restore it to working order. You would just want to make sure there's no shards of glass. So you just have to make sure it's safe. If you want, I can reach out to Dawn, you had mentioned the Arts Commission, and see if they have any interest in
Absolutely.
trying to figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
And the need for connection electrically.
Do you guys want me to get a quote for restoring the paint as well?
I think it'd be worth the effort just to know what it would cost to restore it. Let's also just reach out to Arts Commission, and I can come down to one of their meetings and talk to them, and just discuss it with them if needed. Say, this is what we have. Do they have a need, or do they have a vision that they could possibly use it for something?
It's definitely not on their radar at all at
No.
the moment.
But it's being stored right now, so it's hopefully,
It's not being restored.
no, it's being stored.
Oh, stored.
Yeah.
It's outside. It's just sitting around outside.
Right.
Yeah.
You didn't have space to get it in your
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, once you start the process, you want to make sure you put
Exactly.
around as little as possible.
Do we want to start the process of having a display of old signs?
I will reach out to them. I'll work with you to see if you're interested in going to one of the meetings.
Okay.
This number didn't scare you away.
Pardon me?
This number didn't scare you away.
Not really. But if we can get a hold and look for possible grant opportunities.
There was someone that came in that was interested in the saddle shop right next to it. So I don't know if, yeah, you got the horse. I don't know if that person might be purchasing it or if they'd be interested at all, but potentially too if they were interested in having it near there, and I'm not sure. It could be next door to where we used to live. But if I hear anything about that, I'll bring it back up to you guys as well.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, 6D, National Register nominations.
I think I'd had this on a note to bring back up when you guys were in your winter session. HPC, I know Blaine and Josh had been talking to people at the Marine Speedway and people at the Hungry Onion about potentially nominating their properties for the National Register of Historic Places. But I wanted to include some other properties that had come up either over the course of conversation since our last discussion about this topic, and also properties that are on the walking tour that aren't currently listed. I know a lot of those might not qualify anymore structurally, but they might qualify if they're related to a historic person of significance in Meridian. So going down this list, the third bullet here, 2025 East Chateau, that's one of the properties that's just come up in conversation. It's actually a 1900 Victorian house. Here,
That's behind the Fred Meyers off of Locust Grove, yes.
That's the one you brought up. Oh, wait. Yeah, look, it looks like
Mm-hmm.
I'm shocked that I can access this. Anyway, 1895 it was built. Again, it looks like there's been, I didn't know we could do this. Looks like there's been a lot of renovations on the inside. I don't know anything. Yeah, so I wanted to put those back on your guys' radar. If you guys would like to reach out to TAG to evaluate any of these properties, we could do so. Putting it back up on your radar. I wasn't sure where things had left with the Speedway.
Both of those, Josh and I just need to go talk to them. So on a to-do list that's yet to be done.
Being the physician's house wouldn't have any.
Well, we could put it on the local one, but it wouldn't do for National Register. The outside has been changed.
Can you send me that list?
It's included in your.
Is it? Okay, I'll look at the packet again then.
Price pharmacy has been changed structurally outside. So is the heritage building.
But one of the items for nominating a property is a historical significance to a person or the culture of the city. So, like, if it fits a personal narrative,
I think the outside has to remain changed.
we'll spend more time researching
We'll look
those.
at that, yeah.
Because John Merritt was the editor for the paper for years. The political conscience of the radio.
Yeah, we'll just do some more research on that, Hillary, and we'll just bring it back up again as a continuing item. Old business. Historic Preservation Month, 2019.
The theme was triumphs to treasures, or triumphs and treasures, something like that. I just continued this from your last meeting's discussion. You guys, I think, had mentioned possibly forming a committee to help plan and prepare for Preservation Month, but you're missing 3 people.
3 people.
So I don't know if you want to form your committee now or have at least 1 or 2 people that say they'd be interested, and we can figure it out from there.
Let's bring this up next month, see if we have more people interested. Properties for contracted photography services.
North Locust Grove is that Verado property. I've had a hard time. I've just been calling and leaving voicemails for the contact that I had. He did get called into jury duty, and that's the last I heard from him. He basically said, I have jury duty, call me after this time, and then I've tried like 3 times after that and haven't heard back. So my thought is that if you guys still want a photo of that property there, is that maybe we just ask one of the photographers to take a wide format shot from the road. That way they're not encroaching on the personal property. And they don't have to coordinate to get on the other side of the electric fence or any of the stuff that Mike had mentioned before. If you guys are interested in are you guys still interested in that one?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I will ask, I will reach out to one of our photographers and get that figured out. The other one, so that 2025 East Chateau, even if it doesn't qualify for National Register, would you be interested in getting a photo of that Victorian house
I think so.
for our collection? Okay.
Absolutely.
You like just another wide shot from the road, or do you want me to contact that owner? It looked like the inside was changed a lot.
I think it'd be nice to contact them just to
You know what's going on?
just so they know that we're interested in it, that they do have a historical piece of property there.
Ask them if they have a copy of the transcript of the deed.
Okay.
What do we call the whole thing, Blaine?
Abstract?
Abstract.
Yep.
And if it's city, can possibly copy.
It would be nice if we get some photos from the inside from looking at it. It looks like there's some stuff that's probably fairly original, like the front door. So,
We'll see what they're interested in. How's
okay.
I wanted to include on there, there's 2 properties, I think, in your current application that you might want to look to, but we reference those later on in the agenda. Under current applications. So I'll bring those back up when we get to them. And then I wanted to let you guys know of the list of properties that were non-responsive from the original list that I had reached out to. So what I can do is plan to send another set of letters out to these people, but I might wait until after the holidays.
That's
I don't
fine.
think they need anything else to worry about. Okay. Those. If anybody has other properties that you are aware of, that we might not see through the current applications, feel free to shoot them either to Blaine or me, and we can get them on here so we can get them approved. It's for getting pictures of them. There are some great barns out there. I never remember to take a mental note of the address. If you see something within Meridian city limits.
Did we ever do anything as, for like Ruth Wilkins' property?
I don't think we ever took pictures out there, no. Yeah,
Might
that'd
be a good one to
idea.
do.
Yeah. Since it's winter too, I'll make sure to just include that on the next agenda, and we can approve it on the agenda as it's written, once it's written down.
Okay. Reports, passed forward, 2018.
Yeah, so I included a lot here in your guys' packet so that you could access it later. Overall, I think it was a great conference. It's always a great conference. It is a little bit beyond the scale of what we are considering for our projects. But it's great to meet those other organizations out there and just kind of reconnect and realize that there's people out there that are happy to help us learn how to navigate new projects for us that might not be new projects for them, so that we're not reinventing the wheel every time. Then, what else was it really? There's a ton of good takeaways, and I plan to sit with Blaine and cover a little more of those in further detail, but I included some notes below. There was a lot of helpful training about the historic tax credits. Those were changed in this last legislative session. There's a local workshop. I gave you guys a printout and an invitation for. If you guys are interested in going to that, you're welcome to. It's open to the public. I shared it on our Facebook page. But I also included a link here that talks about the National Preservation Forum has created kind of a set of resources for you or for the public to better understand the historic tax credit and the policies related to it and its reform. So the biggest change for the tax credit reform is that the tax credit's now distributed in 5-year increments. So it's not an immediate tax credit to that year that the project's complete. It's now going to be distributed over 5 years, and that way it's less of an immediate burden. Another thing I didn't realize that was out there that they highlighted was this maps by state. So if Idaho had more interests or projects related to the tax credit, we can always pull up all of the projects that have used the tax credit in the past, show kind of where they were, what the economic impact from those projects was, the number of jobs created for the projects, and it goes into each individual projects for the tax credits have been applied to, which I thought was really interesting. So you guys are welcome to pull up that and look at other maps that are out there. But it's just a nice tool so you can see kind of what the economic impact of those tax credits really is. There's a lot of great information through there. So I want to include that link just so you guys also had an opportunity to get to this page and kind of explore and read through it a little more. There's a growing need for more research and insight into rehabbing mid-20th century buildings. Meridian has a lot of mid-20th century buildings that could be considered. Some of the stuff that I wouldn't have assumed, like what used to be that asbestos siding on elite cleaners, now on buildings that used that 50 years ago, that's now considered a historic material. So even though you don't want asbestos siding, you don't not want asbestos siding. So you have to find alternatives that match the same character and quality of that if you do have to do restoration. So it's just very insightful in that regard. And again, I'm happy to talk in more detail or connect you guys to the resources that I got some of this from. But most of that knowledge is currently held by consultants who are dealing with it on a day-to-day basis. And so those resources and tools are out there for us to connect to and ask questions from. A lot of the sessions, every year they've got different themes for their conference. So a lot of them were talking about the equity of history, and one of the things that was most striking to me was what history are we preserving and what history are we writing? So by focusing on the things that we're focusing on, are we accidentally leaving something else out, or how do we make our work more accessible or more equitable to the community at large? Are we missing something that maybe someone else thinks is a vital component of Meridian? Or are we aware of something like the irrigation system that's vital to our history, but maybe not supporting it enough? So I just wanted to call that to your guys' attention and ask you guys as a group, maybe in January or maybe in February, if we could talk about how we're determining our projects. And if there are more ways that we can recognize the history in Meridian. There were some people out there that were just like, yeah, I lived in a rural town in Colorado, and I drive and go door to door at each property and talk to people, because not everybody has internet and they can't connect through Facebook. Not everybody has the ability to come out to a public meeting. So really taking the time to go out there and kind of knock on doors, send letters, that kind of stuff. So just wanting to serve as a better bridge for the members of our community and make sure that we're kind of meeting the needs of the people in our community and understanding those needs better. I think we need to take time to talk about that as a group. And then a really cool program that I learned about that they do in San Antonio and in San Francisco is called the Legacy Business Program. These are funded programs through bonds, but I don't think we would have to do something like that if we did want to do something to recognize legacy businesses. But essentially, these programs recognize businesses that have been in operation for 30 plus years, or that have been, that have been a contributing, adding contributing character or community, or sense of community to the place that they are. What was the third one? I'll just click on it. We can look. The business is committed to maintaining its physical features or traditions that define the business, including craft, culinary, or art forms. So they have had some businesses, for instance, in San Francisco, that have been leased businesses. So maybe their building has changed a number of times. So then those businesses aren't held responsible to maintain the physical character of the building, but they are held responsible to maintaining the cultural character and the traditions that are associated with that business. Anyway, I wanted to just bring it to your guys' attention because I wasn't aware of any program like this, but there are a dozen other cities that are working with San Francisco and San Antonio to help build their own legacy business programs. A lot of the program with San Francisco is associated to or tied to their small business office and helping to provide resources for the local businesses. So some of those are resources for the staff at the business, whether it's teaching them on how to use new marketing materials, like if they're not meeting their same impact, how do they market to a new type of marketing world, you know? Or if it's, I think they do grants that are like up to like $500 per employee that works there, not to exceed $50,000 in the year. And then they also have a grant that is applied for by the landowner or by the property owner that it basically helps support that small business operating out of that same building. So the intention is to help retain these businesses so that they don't have to be displaced by either development or by horrible lease terms. I wanted to call that to your guys' attention. If you want me to include that as an agenda item in the future, I can.
Sounds very interesting. I'd like to see.
Okay, I'll put it as an agenda item. It was totally new to me, so I found it very fascinating. And I think we do have a number of businesses that, again, even if we didn't do grants, we could recognize them in some way or at least map them out. Part of San Francisco's program is that all of these are mapped out, so you can see where these legacy businesses are, and then also the city itself tries to, whenever possible, do business with those legacy businesses. They encourage the rest of the departments to do business with these local providers. So I thought that was very interesting. Another thing that came up, actually in a conversation with another attendee, was the Williamson Act, which is, they were from California, but I mentioned to some of the people there that there was interest in Meridian to pursue something like a fields district where we would recognize or somehow reserve a portion of land that would be zoned to represent our agricultural heritage and maintain ag-type science buildings or science uses in that area. I wanted just to share with you guys what that Williamson Act was, because it was interesting to me. It basically it's a planning tool that they use for land conservation, although theirs is more specifically geared to keeping it as, like, if it's a farm, they want it to stay maintained as a farm. But I just share that as kind of a interesting reference to you guys, and I'll share that with the planning department too. I don't know where they currently are with the fields district talk. Again, just not recreating the wheel, see what other cities and states have put into motion. Our planning department might already know about that. I just learned about it 2 weeks ago. These attachments here are the printouts that I gave you. So, wait, yes, they are. This kind of breaks down that historic tax credit, in case you're interested. Those are my big overall views. It is a very interesting conference. It is a really large conference. I couldn't figure out when I was planning to go if it would be best to like stay on one track and try to learn a lot of one kind of area, or if I should space it out and try to learn different things. And I ended up spacing out and learning different things. But they were all very interesting sessions. And like I said, I'll sit down with Blaine, and if there's more stuff that he thinks I could bring to the agenda, we'll get those added on future agendas.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I don't know where 2020 is going to be, but 2019 is going to be in Denver. I was kind of bummed about that. It's like Denver might have been more applicable to us.
Yeah.
The Mountain West area. Yeah, and check out this website is really interesting. So check it out. They found this video of Ronald Reagan talking about the historic tax credit when it was first implemented. And somebody had found it in an archive and asked if they could purchase it, and it was like $65, and they said it's the best $65 they ever spent. So they kind of reused that same clip and then add some additional detail. So check that out when you get a chance.
We'll go on to Children's Museum of Idaho.
It's opening. Since JC's not here, I'll give a quick overview. I think they did try to contact the Historical Society for pictures of children playing, but that wasn't really something that was done much before. Yeah, you have portraits and you have.
Yeah, so the fellow who came to take care of it, so.
They'll figure something else out. Anyway, they're doing a ribbon cutting on Saturday, and then they're opening on Sunday. They are still putting a lot of stuff together. I think they'll be working down to the wire to get everything ready so that kids can get in and start kind of playing and learning as soon as possible. Yeah, it's a lot of time, a lot of hard work has gone into that. And they have tried to incorporate not only some historic things or some historic elements, but also some ag elements to just remind kids, like, this is how, like, this is where apples are grown, this is where carrots are grown, and hopefully educational tools to help get kids more familiar with their surroundings and our history. Anyway, I think they're going to have a very busy first month, so I would actually recommend going in January or February. Yeah, and like I said, the ribbon cutting's at 1 o'clock on Saturday if you'd like to go to the ribbon cutting.
Okay, we'll go on to current applications.
Okay, Entrada Farms. So one of these, we'll do Entrada Farms first. I'm glad Ty left. He doesn't have to be kicked out. This one, let me pull up where it's impacting. So the property that it impacts is actually right here off of Franklin Road. Of course, I didn't include the Google attachment to that. It was 3880. It's like used to be a farmstead or a ranch or something. So you can see they have a number of outbuildings they carry along through this back portion over here. I mean, not necessarily in the best shape, but it will soon all be gone. So I don't know how you guys would best approach this particular application and project. I don't know if it extends all the way down to here. I'm not sure that it does. There are a number of outbuildings there and all of this that it would impact. I think it basically, the line from the application looks like it kind of follows back here.
What are they going to be doing right there?
It looks like,
Subdivision?
yeah. They're changing the zoning and putting in apartments. So Courtney, I don't know if we actually even talked to you about this. So HPC isn't a regulatory body, so we can't stop developments from happening, but that's why we talk about the photography project, is because at least if we can't stop them from happening, we'd like to at least capture what was there before it changed. Like I said, I don't know if you want to send the photographer out there to get a picture. It's hard to get, I mean, if you just got an individual picture of, say, this
Little grain silo?
little grain silo, it could be a grain silo anywhere, so I don't know if we could get a wide enough shot of the area that it'd be worthwhile to you guys.
Is that part of the old 10-mile stock farm?
Is it? It is part of the old 10 miles?
That's what I'm wondering if it is. We have a picture of the actual 10-mile stock farm that used to be in that area, but I don't know if it's that parcel.
Very well could be. All of these are like, I don't know what you call them. Little,
Little loafing sheds?
yeah, loafing sheds. But I'm guessing that it's an extension of this project that's going on over here.
Sure.
think it's north side of Franklin.
It's north, yeah.
Well, my recommendation would be to at least get some pictures, because even if we don't send somebody out there, it's going to be gone, even if it's not a great picture.
Yeah, I think if we can get 2 pictures, just an overall from the road and maybe closer up of the buildings, just for our records.
Sounds good. So that's that one. The other one had actually come up, they already had their hearing, but the main concern, it doesn't impact a historic property. I think Blaine and I talked about this a while ago. But it would kind of visually impact a historic property. Gracious. Where are we? It's right, this little row right here is right next to a home and barn. There's the barn there that it would go by. So the skinny part goes right through here. So that's not really, I mean, it's not, the property isn't going to go away, but if you guys wanted a picture of the barn with a field in the background, or if you want a picture of the barn with houses in the background, or if you don't need a picture of it because it's not currently threatened, we haven't really defined when we do the photography projects or not. So I just try to bring up all of the cases to you guys.
Let's see if we can't get a picture of the barn now. Sooner or later, it's going to go away. If we can get one now in an existing condition.
Especially if we're going to go ahead with doing calendars with different properties.
I can do that.
It's an interesting pattern of green along the long white road in the parking lot.
No. It's like weird.
No, on this side, with the green.
Oh. Yeah. I don't understand that. Yeah, so here's how this little triangle here is pretty. But I will contact the photographer on that one. As well. And just the barn, right? Yeah. Okay.
And then, Hillary, our next meeting is?
It is December 27th. That's 2 days after Christmas. I know that Jody isn't going to be available, but I hadn't heard from anybody else if you're
Should be.
or not. Okay.
Should be here.
I'm available.
You will be here, Courtney? Okay. Okay, so we won't plan on moving it then.
Okay. With that, welcome, Jody. We didn't do that earlier.
Yeah. Could we, Ted, can we just talk about Jody, or can we not?
Sure.
Okay. Want to introduce yourself?
Introduce yourself a little bit about your background.
I am Jody Alt. I have a master's degree in history. I spent the last 12 years volunteering at the Basque Museum and Cultural Center doing whatever they needed. So love research, love getting in, and I've done some archival work with them. I've also done data entry for both archaeology through school and through the museum. So
Welcome.
thank you.
Okay,
Have you on.
with that, motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
A second.
Motion by Commissioner Cronk, seconded by Commissioner Alt to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. We'll see you in a month.